I don't understand why a company would go through all the trouble of designing a whole new firearm and then put a trigger in it that feels like you're rebooting Jurassic Park.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is the CZ Scorpion Plus. You can tell because it says right here, Plus. I think it's kind of weird that they wrote Plus, P-L-U-S, when all their other literature just has a little plus sign, including the box and the website. What we're looking at is a 9mm PCC, and it's almost completely polymer. At least, all the parts that I interface with are polymer. Polymer handguard, polymer upper frame, polymer lower frame, polymer grip, polymer stock. Obviously a steel barrel. And this has, so the barrel's like out to here, and then it's pinned with this fake can thing. And so that makes it 16.3 inches. It does have the cool HK flappy thing, so you can pretend like you're in the SEALs movie. Kinda. But it also does have a bolt drop, which is kind of cool. So this right here, must only do it when there's a mag in there. Oh, you know what? It's actually a different spot. So when you pull it back like this and lock it up, that's a different place to lock back than when you use this little thing on the bottom. Locks back there, and then you can drop it, which is kind of interesting that it has both. So as you can see, it does have a magazine release on the left, also bolt drop on the left, and then of course safety in the traditional type spot here. Also safety on the other side, magazine release on the other side, bolt drop on the other side. AR magazine release, which is kind of interesting, the mag button. The least attractive part of the AR. Looks like they took it straight out of the 1-cent part bin from the AR. Also looks like you can swap the charging handle back and forth. It's kind of cool. So I got a Spark Solar on here. We're gonna shoot primarily with that, but it does come with iron sights. Cool thing about the iron sights here is that it has this big aperture and a little bit smaller aperture and a little bit smaller one after that, and then a teeny tiny aperture. But I didn't even bother zeroing those because we got a red dot. Ironically, the sights are aluminum. Everything else is polymer, sights are aluminum, and it does have an aluminum pick rail up here, which is good for holding 0. So it does come with 2 magazines. These are 20-round magazines. They're double stack and they kind of load like an AR does. And they say that they're backward compatible with the old Scorpion, but they're not forward compatible, which I think that means that the Magpul ones will not fit without some modifications, which is actually kind of a bummer because Magpul makes a D50 drum for this thing. But anyway, we got the factory mags. This is all borrowed stuff. The ammo is mine. I bought it myself. All right, let's shoot it. We're at 17 yards, which is where I zeroed it. So we're going to shoot here from here, and then we'll back up a little bit. Damn, 115 grain. So 17-yard accuracy, legit. "20 rounds goes fast." All right, so check this out. The bolt locked back, obviously, on the last round, and the bolt handle is not even in the position that we thought it would be in. It's way forward up here, but the bolt's still locked back. So that's pretty interesting. And then using the bolt release, that's what it is. So the charging handle doesn't actually reciprocate, which is kind of cool. I like that. Jeez, 20 rounds goes fast. Luckily I brought 200. So it's a straight blowback gun, and it actually holds pretty well at 17 yards. Dot bounces quite a bit, but you know, it's manageable with proper mechanics. The interesting thing, oh, hey, there's your stock adjustment. That's pretty cool. But a lot of PCCs have like these huge ass, heavy ass bolts, and it's a relatively light gun considering all the polymer. So we're looking at, I think this is like 6.75 pounds. I'll put it up on the screen here, but it's a relatively light gun. And with this huge bolt, there's a lot of reciprocating mass. And so it like bounces around a lot. So you really have to have like good mechanics, but this actually shoots pretty well. It feels like it's like linearly coming back into your shoulder. Okay, we're at 12 yards according to the Ranger 4000. And we're gonna do some blasting here. .113, 102 with a miss. So this gun is super, super light. I do like that the owner put this low sight on it though, because of the way that you mount this gun, you are pretty low in it. You still have to have like a little bit of a heads up shooting style. Not typically what I do with an AR-15, which is getting super low on the cheekbone, but we're not really shooting long distance, so you don't really need to get that strong cheek weld, and it's a dot, so eye relief doesn't necessarily matter that much. So it's a good combo. 112, 89, there we go. Target was spinning, I waited for it to come around, so that was a 113. Goodness. Getting excited here. There we go, 102. 118. All right, so pretty cool, pretty cool. Got a few more rounds here. So we're gonna try some low readies. So when I mount the gun and I'm up, can you see that? It's kind of hard for me to reach that safety with my thumb and my shooting style. Like I prefer to be right here, and that safety is just a little bit far forward for me. Now, if I twist my grip to something that's kind of uncomfortable for my body mechanics, to now I have this tucked in, I can reach it. But this is more comfortable, and it's just a slight change. So I think if I were shooting a match, I would use the right side safety. So let's try that. 80. Yeah, I think that right side safety is where it's at. 94. 72. Yeah, I think that's where it's at for me. Your mileage may vary if you have a little bit larger hands, but when I'm holding it, it feels like it's in the right place. But when I have it, I am in the back berm here, but when I have it, like when I'm ready to shoot, it's just in a little bit of a wrong place for me. Let's see if I can actually get it on the clock though. See, I hit my trigger finger with it. Yeah, just on the initial impressions here, I would use this side of the safety. That was a 160, by the way. 82. 95. Yeah, that's the money right there. And that's a mag. Woo! I don't think I dropped the bolt. I think it did on its own. Either way, that was cool. All right, so we're at 32 yards according to the Ranger 4000, which is the limit of the bay. No problem. By the way, Isotune Sport Defy Bluetooth, these have gel cups in them. Got their new gel cups, and wow. Super, super comfortable. You can't even feel the eyeglasses like you usually can, and it molds around it. Super, super quiet today. Back at 20-ish yards. Couldn't remember which target I was shooting at over here. It's kind of funny on that big steel, like when you get over here, you're shooting at the backside of it on the second round because it's still spun around. Kind of wish I had some longer mags. These 20 rounders go pretty damn fast. Folding stock, obviously, which is kind of cool. Let's see if it shoots when folded. It does. I would never shoot it folded though. That's dumb. You got a stock, use it. It's the reason we have the problems that we do is over stocks. Current problems anyway. It's always a new one. Another complaint, and I seem to have this complaint with a lot of guns. Like I just don't understand it. Like this is where the controls are where the human interface happens, right? So like this safety's kind of stiff. It's a little vague. Like you can move it a lot before it actually moves or before it actually disengages and engages. Again, my hands are probably different than yours. So like the way the safety works for me is going to be different for you. And it's not a big deal just to use this side for me, which is what I would do if this were my gun. That said, we're clear. The trigger on this thing kind of sucks. So watch, if you will, if you can, from where you're at. A lot of pressure, some creep. There's the wall. And so I tested this on the bench. It's 8 pounds, 12.5 ounces, which is kind of crap. And the trigger's plastic. I would pop it open, but we're on YouTube. I think some other shit inside's plastic too, because you can, it sounds plastic. I don't know, maybe it's just a ringing inside of the receiver. I don't know. I don't understand why a company would go through all the trouble of designing a whole new firearm and then put a trigger in it that feels like you're rebooting Jurassic Park. Also, with no ear pro, this whole thing sounds kind of hollow. I will say the reset's pretty good on this trigger. Here's another question I want to know. Why is this $1,000? Everything is polymer, except for the sights, which, hey, don't include the sights. I personally don't use iron sights anymore anyway. I'm strictly an optic guy. But why is this $1,000? Polymer, 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 polymer. The point of using polymer, glass reinforced polymer, or whatever you want to say. The point of using polymers is that they're freaking cheap to manufacture. Okay, so you don't have to machine aluminum. This all comes out of a mold. Granted, the molds are expensive to make, but once you have that cost recovered, I mean, economies of scale, people, like this should be like $500. The CZ P10C right now is on sale for $399, and the subcompact is $299. This is $1,000. Why is this $1,000? Don't include this. This looks expensive to make, but don't include this. You can get these for like 45 cents on wish.com. I've seen it myself. America. All right, let's talk about PCCs really quick here. So downsides of the PCC is you're carrying all this around and it's still a pistol caliber. You're like, yeah, well, it has 20 round magazines. Well, I mean, like a Glock 17 has 17. We're going to be shooting a Dan Wesson DWX really soon here, and it's 18 rounds. My STI 2011 holds 21 rounds, which is more than this, and it's much, much smaller. So, and it's much more maneuverable and then concealable. I'm kind of that old school mentality of like, if you're going to fight your way to a carbine, should be a rifle caliber carbine rather than a pistol caliber Now that said, like, I'm sure this is much better inside of a home than like a rifle caliber carbine would be, especially if you could suppress it. I bet it would be like super quiet. But again, like, are you going to be shooting these like 115 round nose? Because you should be shooting jacketed hollow points, like 124 grain jacketed hollow points, and then those are like $1.50 a round. So now you're back up into like 77 grain territory for like a 5.56. Maybe even go with a 300 blackout. We're going to shoot one of those soon. I guess I don't really understand like the pistol caliber in the sense of defense, but you let me know. Tell me what you would use it for. Now, for a range gun, something fun, something to take other people out. 9mm is still pretty inexpensive to shoot. God, I remember when it was like 10 cents a round. That was awesome.
And in those days, nickels had pictures of bumblebees on them.
You can shoot these in matches, like in your typical USPSA matches. I've shot a Tavor X95 in a match. I've shot a JP PCC in several matches, including last year in the USPSA 2-Gun Nationals, and really enjoyed it. That said, like, I haven't found like a PCC that will shoot as soft as like my 3-gun rifle does, or even as soft as like the Geissele that we just recently, Super Duty that we just recently tested. I think it's a cool design. I think it's a fun gun. I don't think it's worth $1,000. For $1,000, if you're buying one gun, just go get a decent AR-15 for $1,000. Get the nicest brand you can for $1,000. I'm a little biased, but I recommend the IWI Zion, because that's like a $999 rifle. I'm still on the fence post as far as like PCCs go, but the coolest thing about the PCC is that you can shoot steel really close. Minimum safe distance for steel is 7 yards with a 9mm. For a 5.56, it's 50 yards. So here we are, like 10 yards. Let's shoot the steel. Yeah, I mean, you really can't beat shooting steel at 7 yards.